to have.
Yes, Master.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am going full solo because today I'm giving you the full spoiler review of Solo, a Star Wars story directed by Ron Howard, starring Alden Ehrenreich, Donald Glover, Yuna Suatomo, Woody Harrelson, Paul Bettany, and I cannot remember the ladies' names. I am so sorry. Mostly because up until now I've never heard of them before. So I'm going to start with the positive aspects of this movie, the stuff that I really liked, and then I'm going to drop into the things I didn't really like. First of all, I have to say the best portrayal of the characters in Solo it's got to be Yuna Suatomo as Chewbacca. I mean, between Force Awakens and Last Jedi, first of all, the transition was seamless. The transition was seamless, and I really think Eunice has captured all the mannerisms of Chewie perfectly. There's nobody better Peter Mayhew could have passed the torch to than Eunice. He's got Chewie down perfect. I mean, Chewie throughout the whole thing was perfect. Totally Chewie. And another great characterization was Donald Glover playing Lando Calrissian. You know, Han described him perfectly in Empire Strikes Back. Card player, gambler, scoundrel, you'd like him. And that is Lando to a T. Although Donald Glover doesn't look anything like Billy D. Williams, he nailed the voice. And that's pretty good. He got the voice down, he got the suaveness and the smoothness, and sees a pretty girl, oh, hello, lady. But yeah, I think, yeah, he did a really good job as Lando. It was really, really good. The best moments in this film have to be anything with Han and Chewbacca. The whole film is a little bit slow until we see Chewie for the first time. Once we find Chewie, then the movie really starts taking off. Chewie's easily the best part of this whole movie, and him and Han together, I mean, that friendship dynamic, seeing it develop, it's a little fast, but seeing Han and Chewie just having buddy moments together is great to see. I love it, gives me the warm fuzzies. That's all I wanted out of this movie, and I got it, and that's winning the Falcon also in the gamble was pretty good. I mean, it was a little ways into there, but the game is pretty good. You know, Han and Lando are trying to outdo each other with, you know, one-upping them as far as quips and being cocky and like, yeah, I got you beat. They're trying to do a good bluff, and it's really good. That scene's pretty enjoyable. The Kessel Run was sufficiently jaw-dropping and awesome, although the Kraken character was a little weird. The Kessel Run was not what people expected. People expected to be like an organized race, but apparently a Kessel Run is just making a run to Kessel. Just getting it to the planet and back in one piece is tricky. And yeah, we did find out about the numbers. Han did twist the numbers about them. The question is whether he rounded down from a higher number, or it was like 12.8 or 13 or something like that. So yeah, that was a fun moment. My favorite new character in Han Solo was one that was woefully underused. That's Rio. He's a character with sort of the squinty eyes, and he's got forearms. He's a great conversationalist. He's got some great lines. He's just immediately likable, and I really wish we could have seen more of him. The best plot twist in this movie? It's not the one everyone's thinking about. One of the bad guys, Enfys Nest. Whoa. That twist was totally out of left field. I did not see that coming. I'm not going to say anything bad about the actress who played the character, but I'm like, wow, it's sort of an overused trope, you know, the knight taking off the helmet and a full cascade of curls falling down, but I still didn't expect that. I totally thought Enfys Nest was going to be a guy. And my feeling walking out of the theater, I felt satisfaction in the warm fuzzies. It's an enjoyable, entertaining movie. Now, that being said, here are the negatives about Solo. Number one, Rio died way too soon. Like I said, I really wanted to get that know the character. He seemed really likable. He went out too soon. I wanted to see more Rio. So animators, take note. We need more Rio. I want more Rio. Another disappointment was there was not even a single mention of the Force at all. And that, to me, the Force is what separates Star Wars from science fiction. Star Wars is, at its heart, space fantasy. It's a fantasy with mythology and mystical qualities and like magic and stuff like that, but set in space. Now, take away the Force, and it's just another science fiction movie with lots of aliens. It really kept it from feeling completely like Star Wars. Another thing I didn't like is, this is just a personal gripe. Probably no one else has any problem with this, but it seems like Star Wars keeps pushing the envelope when it comes to how physical people get and the profanity. This one had more kissing than I've ever seen in any Star Wars movie. The dialogue sort of danced around the edges more than anything else ever did. In the past, everything physical in Star Wars has been implied. They haven't really shown anything. I really hope they keep it implied, because I don't need to see that. In the profanity, there was less profanity in this one than there was in The Last Jedi, which had more profanity than any Star Wars movies ever had. The only reason I mention this is because I like to watch Star Wars with kids. They're what keeps it magical. And if it gets to the point where I cannot show them to niece, nephew, or future children, then they kind of Star Wars kind of loses its appeal for me. Now, the music was also another disappointment. It was sort of background noise, but then again, like the soundtrack for Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, I have to listen to it isolated by itself to make a fair judgment on it, so stay tuned for that. Another disappointment in this film was the cinematography. It was very bland. Force Awakens, Rogue One, and even The Last Jedi had shots in there that were pure art. I mean, they were absolutely gorgeous. Big, gorgeous landscape shots and silhouette and sunsets, and this movie, there was nothing like that. It was very by the book. The camera seemed to be nailed down or shaking half of the time. So that was a definite disappointment. Cinematography was a step down. Things that weren't necessarily a disappointment, but that I found awkward or had me face-palming. First thing is Han's relationship with Kira. Kira as a character, I'm sorry, I cannot get behind that girl at all. In the beginning, she and Han were just, like high school crushes hanging out together, and there was no chemistry beyond that. I just didn't feel any chemistry between them at all. I mean, it was just like, it felt like an extended one-night stand. I mean, as far as their feelings for each other went, that's all of... There was no depth to their attraction at all. I mean, they were like each other, and they grew up together, and that was it. And it just felt kind of shallow and contrived. It was also rather awkward seeing Han with someone else. I know Han Solo is only human, and of course before he met Leia, he was a scoundrel, and not much more needs to be said. But it just felt weird. Maybe it's just me. I've gotten to know Han and Leia so well that it was sort of like looking through your parents' yearbook and seeing them dating someone other than your parent. It just feels weird. Another awkward relationship, if you will, was that between Lando and his droid. I didn't like the droid at all, and that didn't help, but it just felt very awkward and uncomfortable. Now, if Lando was like dating a Twi'lek or some other sort of alien, I wouldn't have a problem with that, because we've seen interspecies... We've seen different species dating and having relationships in Star Wars before, so that doesn't really bother me. The droid? A droid is all circuits and wires, so something just doesn't add up, and I found that very weird. There were a couple of facepalm moments in there. The biggest one was the cameo at the end. That's right, Darth Maul. I mean, there was no reason to put him in there other than pure fan service just because audiences love the character. Why won't they let that guy die? I mean, I know this was before Twin Suns and Rebels, but come on, please. The guy should have died when he got cut in half in Episode 1. I don't care how popular he was. The fact that they brought him back in Clone Wars was bad enough. The fact that he's still alive during Rebels was also pretty stupid. But throwing him in here, I mean, yeah, it was an insane twist to find out that the smugglers are working for a former Sith Lord. But then the question arises, how in the heck did that Sith Lord become down and out from like a crime boss to hobbling around on Malachor trying to influence Ezra? I mean, what in the heck? Don't get me wrong, Darth Maul's portrayal in Rebels was pretty good, but he shouldn't have been brought back. I mean, let sleeping Sith Lords lie. My least favorite character is L3. She's boisterous, overbearing, and in activist status 100% of the time. In the past, there have been causes in Star Wars, but no one's actually spoken the words out loud, and they haven't been beating you over the head with it every time they utter dialogue, which is what L3 does. I know she had good intentions, and I can't argue with that. I mean, droids who have, like, sentience and even emotions, you know, they shouldn't be, just kicked over like a garbage can or something like that. They've got more personality than a computer. But getting in people's faces and yelling at them is not the best way to change their mind. If anything, it just drives people further away. So, with all that long-winded explanation, a little bit of ranting over with, I still enjoyed the film quite a bit. It's got its flaws. The most disappointing part about it is it feels generic, and it seems to be walking away from the mythos that makes Star Wars so great. That is a disappointment, but it was a fun movie to see. I'd have to see it again to know whether or not I'm going to buy it, but I would give the overall rating somewhere near the bottom 3. I would say ahead of Attack of the Clones, but behind Revenge of the Sith. Yes, I rank it in among the prequels. Now, the prequels, the thing they've got going for them is the story and the music. Solo, the action is better and the dialogue isn't quite as bad, and the effects are better, but that's about it. So it's sort of on an even keel. It's not a bad movie, but it's not a great movie. That being said, it was a great palate cleanser after Last Jedi and everything else has been going on. It would be either 6 or 7 out of 10. But that's all for today. I've got more reviews coming soon. Stay tuned for your regular scheduled vlog. I'm not sure what's going on today, but I will let you know. I'm sorry I'm falling behind, but yeah. This week was kind of unplanned other than seeing Solo. So until next time, this is the Clumsy Jedi signing off. Bye, guys.